Hello everyone, my name is Boomer, and today we're going to start something new on this channel. Welcome to Sonic September. This month I'm reviewing the first 4 Sonic games that came out on the Genesis that aren't spin-offs to begin with. So no Sonic Spinball or Sonic 3D Blast, no Knuckles Chaotix, and no Sonic CD, and also none of the Game Gear games or the Saturn games, especially none of the 3D games, not now. But in the future, most definitely. As for now, I'm just reviewing Sonic 1, 2, and 3, and Knuckles. Alright, so let's review the game that started it all. Sonic the... Fuck that shit. No, Sonic the Hedgehog. The real one.
But before we start playing, let's get a little background. Nintendo was dominating the gaming market in the late 80s and early 90s with the NES. They had many awesome games, lots of great series had their start on this system, and an extremely iconic Italian plumber to boot. So, what did Sega have in the 80s before the Genesis? The Master System, which wasn't that popular in America, a mascot called Alex Kidd, which wasn't really that popular either, and a pretty small game library compared to the NES. So now Sega has their new system, the Genesis, which was impressive for the time but didn't really have any killer apps for the system. That was until Sonic. So Sega needed to have a mascot to have a chance to compete with the Italian plumber. So around 1990, they began development on a new game. They had artist Natsuno Oshima to design an animal character. They had ideas for a rabbit, a squirrel, and even a kangaroo. How the hell would that work? Anyway, it all led up to an armadillo and a hedgehog. And they obviously chose a hedgehog. And Sonic wasn't his original name, it was Mr. Needlemouse. Programmed by Yuji Naka, and a soundtrack composed by Masato Nakamura, Sonic was ready to be released. The game was released on June 23, 1991, a month before the Super Nintendo hit the markets for Americans, and a month before Japan got the game. Wow, that's weird, we got it earlier than Japan. Anyway, how's the actual game? Well, let's get into the plot. The evil Dr. Eggman, Robotnik, is trying to steal 6 Chaos Emeralds. He's also trapped animals and made them into his robot minions called Batniks. So it's up to Sonic to stop the Doctor before he gets the Chaos Emeralds, and to free all his animal buddies so he could stop Robotnik from taking over the world. Nature versus technology, man or Hedgehog versus machine, the fate of the force. No, the world is up to Sonic! Okay, I know that plot is not really so complicated, but, you know, it's not that important. I mean, it's like saying that Mario has to have a complex plot. Bowser kidnaps Peach, and Mario saves her. What is important is the gameplay, and oh boy. Saying this game is fun is an absolute understatement. It's momentum-based platforming at its finest, although yes, this is a typical platformer. You move left and right and jump. That's it. His way of attacking is either jumping on enemies, or rolling into a ball and hitting the fuckers. Oh yeah, when Sonic rolls into a ball and goes down a hill or a slope, you really get a sense of speed, and you go really, really fast. Gotta go fast! Gotta go fast, too fast, too fast, faster, moving at speed of sound. Try quickest hedgehog around.
Stop. It's really fucking... Please stop. This is ridiculous. Stop! Thank you.
Anyway, there are rings to collect so you could have an extra hit before you die. The rings also get you an extra life if you collect 100 of them, and if you collect at least 50 of them, you go into a special stage. More on that later. There's also monitors that you could break so you could get 10 rings, a shield, an extra life, and speed shoes that could make you go... faster. Now let's get into the levels. There are 19 levels in 6 zones with 3 levels in each, and a final zone at the end of the game. Now let's go through the zones. Green Hill Zone. A great start to the game, where it really shows off that Sonic moves really fast, and of course having that famous song doesn't hurt either. Marble Zone. And we lose all that speed for some precise platforming. It's almost the polar opposite of the first zone. And that's really it. Spring Yard Zone! This zone does have some slopes to catch some speed, but it also has some slow-moving platforms. Labyrinth Zone, the only zone in the game where you're mainly swimming, which means you're moving slower than usual. Sonic, for whatever reason, cannot breathe underwater, so you're probably gonna get this.
No. Okay. Thank God.
Starlight Zone. Yes, we're finally back to some speed, and the fans are stopping your movement. Yay! Of course, Sonic's fans always slow him down. And finally, Scrap Brain Zone, where Robotnik sends all his minions to make this one of the hardest parts of the game, and it has another water section! Yay! At the end of each zone, you have to face off with the Doctor himself, and he's piss easy. It's just 8 hits on his ship, or flying seat, or whatever, and that's it. Seriously, if you really wanted to stop the Hedgehog, he really needs better machines. But as the player, no fucks are given here. As for the special stages, there are 6 of them. You get into these things by jumping into a giant ring at the end of the stage if you at least have 50 rings. Saying these stages are very strange is a large understatement. All you need to do is find a Chaos Emerald and avoid the goal circles. Wait, why are they called goal? They kick you out of the stage, so yeah, that's obviously misleading. Getting the emeralds don't really do much. There isn't a Supersonic yet, so what happens? You get a different ending, which really isn't much to begin with. The graphics are very colorful for the Genesis, with a large amount of layers for some of the levels like Green Hill, for example. And the music is probably one of the most remixed and remade soundtracks of all time besides Super Mario Bros. 1 and Mega Man 2, which isn't that bad, just overdone. I do like a lot of the tracks, and my favorites besides Green Hill are Starlight Zone and Springyard Zone songs.
So in conclusion, what do I think of this game?
The gameplay is platforming at its finest, the graphics are very colorful and great to look at, and the music, although not being the best soundtrack in the series, is still awesome. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. This game is awesome and it rightfully deserves its rating. It's definitely aged well. If you somehow haven't played this game already, do yourself a favor and do so.
I mean, it's not like it's cheap and, I don't know, on every fucking system imaginable.
This game definitely helped out Sega. Besides selling more systems in the process, it also made Sonic one of the highest selling games on the system. They were actually beating Nintendo at the time. And of course it started one of the greatest gaming rivalries of all time that still goes on to this day, Mario vs. Sonic. Need I say more?
Well, what now? Well, I think I should get started on this. Yep, next week's review is going to be Sonic 2 for the Sega Genesis. So I'll be working on that. Till then, I'll see you guys later.